I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul.
Fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab. But at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah.
The guy who finally put an end to this Jake Paul thing, right? If he goes out there and puts Jake Paul in the dirt, he's going to be heralded. He's going to be a hero.
Eddie Hearn recently shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's decision
to fight Anthony Joshua, and his reaction was far from optimistic. The Matchroom promoter didn't hold back, warning that Jake Paul is making the biggest mistake of his career by even entertaining a fight with the former unified heavyweight champion. According to Hearn, this isn't just another money grab or Netflix spectacle. It's a career-ending decision that could end Jake Paul's boxing journey for good. He insists that Joshua's power, experience, and sheer physicality would leave Paul utterly destroyed, emphasizing that this matchup...
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ... I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but, you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh, well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But, as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world...
It is being widely reported that Jake Paul is in the final stages of negotiating a heavyweight bout with Anthony Joshua set for next month in Miami to be streamed globally on Netflix. The matchup would mark a significant step up for Paul, who has previously fought mostly non-traditional high-level opposition, while Joshua is a former two-time unified heavyweight world champion who last fought in September 2024. Eddie Hearn confirmed that his team has been actively exploring the idea. While the matchup was initially considered down the line, the cancellation of the Jake Paul vs. Tank Davis fight could accelerate plans, potentially bringing the bout forward sooner than anticipated. Hearn stressed that discussions are still in the exploratory stage with no official agreement finalized. Still, he acknowledged that the window for a high-profile clash between Paul and Joshua may now open earlier due to the change in the schedule. Eddie emphasized that Joshua's team still has its sights set on a shot at the world heavyweight title or a showdown with Tyson Fury. Hearn acknowledged that although the Paul fight could happen, it is not the primary focus. He stated the priority is rebuilding Joshua's path back to the belt rather than simply staging a spectacle.
There's been some conversations with myself and Nikisa. I think Jake and AJ have spoke as well. You know, from our point of view, if we're going to have a run-out fight, why not run out against Jake Paul, you know, for a lot of money? So there's ongoing conversations there. I can't tell you it's close. I can't tell you we've seen a contract. But if he genuinely wants to fight Anthony Joshua, I don't see why we wouldn't have a chance to do that fight. But, you know, our focus is on really a charge for the World Heavyweight Championship and a charge at Tyson Fury. We can't control that either. So, like I said, that's why I said to you, absolutely at the moment, anything is possible.
Hearn has expanded on his concerns regarding a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, warning that the pairing would be far more than a spectacle. Hearn argues that the matchup is significantly mismatched, pointing to the vast gap in size, experience, and power between the two fighters. He stressed that the danger involved isn't theoretical, but very real, suggesting the fight could substantially harm Paul's career, if not end it altogether. In his view, the risk to Paul's health and standing in boxing is such that making the fight happen would require careful consideration regardless of the commercial upside.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
Mike Coer of The Ring recently flagged serious concerns about a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, suggesting it's being pursued by Paul largely because of the hefty payday rather than the sporting merit. According to Kopinger, the deal is in advanced talks but hinges on major broadcast and sanctioning issues. He noted that Joshua represents a significant step up in size, power, and experience for Paul and implied that the mismatch raises real safety concerns. While the fight could move forward due to the commercial draw, Koper's reporting underscores that the risk to Paul's boxing credibility and personal health looms large. It remains unconfirmed whether the proposed bout between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua will be classified as a professional fight or an exhibition. However, no official sanctioning terms have been disclosed publicly, and questions remain about the rules, whether it will count on official records and how it will be regulated.
Here's a breaking story on Ring Magazine. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua is talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way. But
I don't like it
No,
either.
I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab, but at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed because it's a really dangerous fight.
Do we know if it's an exhibition or a real fight?
We don't know yet, but I don't think they should be allowing Anthony Joshua in a ring with Jake Paul. It's dangerous for him.
It can't be a real fight, because if it's a real fight, Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul's head clean off. So it can't be a real fight.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I don't want to see a man decapitated in Miami in a ring in December.
Listen, and that's what will happen. So let's see how it unfolds.
However, many seasoned boxing professionals have outright condemned the idea. Veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora has fiercely criticized the prospect of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking, branding it a disrespect to boxing.
The WBC have said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Souza decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his back pocket. No, that is disgrace to boxing.
Boxing legend Roy Jones offered an unexpected perspective on the fight. While Roy acknowledged that a showdown could happen if Joshua truly wanted it, he stressed the bout must make sense for Joshua both competitively and financially, calling Joshua a legitimate former world champion. Jones firmly stated, "Did you see what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou? The same thing happens to Jake Paul. If you think someone who isn't a full-time boxer will beat..."
I want to change subjects just a little bit here. And Anthony Joshua, there's rumours circulating he could be fighting Jake Paul next. One, do you think it's good for boxing? And two, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fighting anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if you want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's a perfect win. You get a lot of money doing it.
Will Jake Paul become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has the mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of evens the stakes.
Leon Edwards has weighed in on the potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, indicating his clear support for Joshua in the matchup. According to coverage on MMA Fighting, Edwards regards the fight as tilted heavily in Joshua's favor, reflecting the view that Paul would be taking a significant step up in challenge. While the bout remains speculative and not finalized, Edwards' comments reinforce the perception of a mismatch based on experience and status in the boxing world.